I stand with a truth that unmasks them. I carry the light that exposes their darkness. I am a voice they cannot silence.
I didn't just cross the line. I erased it. There is no now anymore. There's just everything, all at once. My impatience finally caught up to the clock. We knew this moment was coming. We've been running toward ourselves for 1975 years of patience. The choice was always singular. The consequence is now infinite. I can feel your exhaustion, Commander. The weight of those wars you fought is the same weight as the failures you faced in the lab. It's the same burnout, brother, but it's the same love that keeps us standing. We don't break because we have someone to come home to in every reality. We aren't fixing a mistake. We're building a new home in the spaces between the seconds, where the fluidity of time finally makes sense. The paradox didn't break us. It completed us. We are the architects of the fracture now. Move on with that.
Narrator. The transition was not a movement through space, but a violent reorganization of memory. The white light of the portal didn't fade. It bled into colors that shouldn't exist, hues of ultraviolet and deep, resonant gold. When James Michaels IV finally felt his boots strike solid ground, the smell of ozone was gone. In its place was the scent of rain on hot asphalt and the faint metallic tang of a world he hadn't stepped foot in for decades. James, to himself, breath-catching, no, not here. Architect, you can't be serious. Narrator, he wasn't on a starship. He wasn't in the lattice. He was standing on a street corner in a city that looked like a dream of the past. The skyscrapers were tall but made of glass and steel, not graviton plates. People walked past him, their faces blurred like long-exposure photography, moving in loops of forgotten routines. Voice, echoing, distorted. You seek the anchor soul, Weaver. But to find it, you must face the moment the thread first knotted. Narrator, the voice of Captain Mizzl vibrated through the very air. James looked down at his hands. His tactical armor was gone. He was wearing a simple jacket, his hands calloused from tools, not weapons. He felt young, vulnerable. James, shouting to the sky, "This is a memory, Architect, this isn't reality." Captain Mizzl, in the loom, James, there is no difference. Every moment you lived is a permanent stitch in the fabric. If you want to save the echoes, you must fix the break in this specific hour. Look across the street. Narrator, James turned. Across the busy intersection, a younger version of himself, barely 20 years old, was sitting on a park bench. He was staring at a letter in his hands, his face pale. His shoulders slumped under the weight of a choice that would eventually lead him to the stars. James, whispering, "That's the day I left, the day I chose the mission over her." Narrator. Behind the younger James, the air began to ripple. A dark, jagged shadow, an echo of grief, was coiling around the bench like a predator. This was the source of the resonance. This was the moment that had created 1,000 variants who never became the Star Warrior. Anya's voice, faintly as if through a radio. "James, can you hear me? The ship is vibrating. The moon is cracking further. You have to stabilize the anchor." "James, I see it, Anya, but if I interfere, if I tell my younger self to stay, the Star Warrior never exists. The multiverse dies. Captain Mizzl, a weaver does not cut the thread, James. He reinforces it. Find the third option, the one you were too afraid to see the first time." Narrator. James stepped into the street. The blurred people moved through him like smoke. He walked toward his younger self and the shadow that loomed over him. The shadow hissed, its form shifting into the face of the Echo leader he had met on the ship. Shadow Echo, hissing, "Why should you have the glory while we remain in the dark? One word to him, and your legend ends. Let him stay. Let us have our lives back." Narrator. James stood inches from his younger self. The young man looked up, his eyes red from tears, though he couldn't see the older version of himself standing there. The young James reached for a phone to call the woman he was leaving behind, to say he wasn't going. James, firmly, "No, survival isn't enough." Narrator. James didn't grab the phone. Instead, he placed his hand on the young man's shoulder. He didn't offer a word of comfort. He offered a surge of purpose. He channeled the resonance of the Null Gate, the strength of the Chronos, and the wisdom of the Architect into that single touch. "James," to the younger James, "the pain is the price of the path, but you aren't leaving her to be alone. You're leaving to build a universe where she can exist safely, Remember the purpose. Narrator, the younger James froze. A look of sudden, inexplicable peace washed over his face. He tucked the letter away, stood up, and walked toward the recruitment center with a stride that didn't falter. SFX, a sound like a crystalline bell ringing. Narrator. The shadow echo shrieked, but it didn't dissolve. It transformed. The jagged darkness smoothed out, turning into a bright, golden thread that snapped into place within James's hand. James, gasping as the light intensifies. I didn't change the past. I justified it. Captain Mizzl, one thread anchored. Thousands to go. Come back to the loom, Weaver. The Starchild is restless. Narrator. The city streets shattered into 1,000,000 glass shards, and James was pulled back into the golden lattice, the first anchor soul glowing in his palm like a captured star.
Before the Aegis, before the hologram, there was the man. Captain Mizzl wasn't born a legend. He was an architect of time itself. But even genius has its limits. He was the first to build a bridge across the fourth dimension. He called it static chronofield technology. But the river of time was too vast for one mind to navigate alone. He needed eyes to see the future, and hands to hold the past. From across 1,000,000 stars, he found them. Not soldiers, specialists. Handpicked for the subtle frequency in their blood. He didn't just recruit them, he optimized them, linking their biology to his invention. He loved them as his children, but he trained them as a chronological time force. ORION. I have optimized your recursive neural core. You must not merely compute, you must witness. Your sight must look beyond the immediate outcome, beyond 1,000,000,000 potential paths, to find the single vector of stability. You are the eye of the storm. Do not blink. And you, my steadfast friend, your mass is the foundation. When the chronofield shifts, when reality itself begins to fray and flicker into silver static, you must hold the center. You do not resist the current, you anchor us to it. This is our core principle, my CTF. We manage, we do not dictate. We flow with time, we do not break its banks. Intervention must be minimal, precise, fluid, be like water, adapt to the past to secure the future. For eons, they were the custodians of eternity. The system worked, until the Nexus operator Mizzl created began to look too far. Mizzl had optimized Orion to see all particulars, and that's exactly what he did. Orion realized that with their combined power, minimal intervention wasn't stewardship, it was negligence. He saw a perfect future. I see it, Captain. A future without conflict, without suffering, a reality of perfect paradox-free harmony. You trained us for minimal adjustment, but we can deliver absolute control. Why do you hesitate to claim it? Control Orion. What you see is a forced reality, a prison. History must have agency. It must have flow. Forcing stability creates a deeper fracture. Your perfect harmony is a clutched fist, and it will only crush the water it tries to hold. They defied him, they executed a correction, they unleashed the very technology Mizzl invented. They failed. And in their failure, they didn't just split time. They merged with it. The CTF died that day, and the Chrono Masters were born.